Hey everyone, in this video we'll be going over my thoughts on the Haretech Diana after having used it for over a year now. For those that don't know, the Diana is a brushless flywheel mag and grip blaster that runs off a 4S LiPo. It takes proprietary mags to keep the form factor small, but is compatible with Worker Nightingale magazines if you modify the mag slightly. Because the blaster is so small, but packed with features, it is considered to be one of the best sidearm blasters out there, especially when you pair it with the various optional and aftermarket parts available for it. Since this blaster has been out for over a year and a new 2025 version has been released, this video won't follow my typical review format since other reviewers have done that already. Instead, this video will cover all the things I think you should know about the Diana that I learned throughout my time using it. Before we continue, this is not a sponsored video. Everything featured here was paid for at full price and I didn't get any special treatment to make this. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Starting off, I'll just do a quick overview of my personal Diana from tip to butt. On the front, I have a square muzzle brake by Woven and an extended battery door I designed myself to line up with the muzzle. This gives it a more complete look in my opinion and makes it less likely for the muzzle to break off if it bumps into things. I also used the battery door thumb screw to make accessing the battery compartment easier. On the top slide, I have a dummy 3D printed RMR sight and printed rear iron sights. There's no difference between the stock irons and these printed ones, and I just wanted them in yellow and blue to make a bocce the Glock joke. Finally, I have a 3D printed flared magwell also designed by Woven and run mag extenders by Tarpy on all my Diana mags. I use one 15 round extender as my starting mag with 12 round extenders on the rest of them since 15s are too long to comfortably have on the front sections of my belt. On the inside, it's basically been untouched. I have the magnetic reed switch so the blaster stops revving while holstered, but other than that it's stock internally. I know that there's an aftermarket bearing barrel for it, but importing it into Australia is a bit expensive and I've heard mixed opinions on how it performs. Some swear by it while others say it bleeds FPS for little benefit. The Diana performs well enough as a sidearm stock, so I haven't felt the need for the bearing barrel or other aftermarket parts yet. Overview out of the way, let's go over the tips and tricks I've learned about the Diana. The first tip is to use fresh darts or darts with stiffer foam. When the foam is softer, I've noticed feeding issues where the dart doesn't enter the flywheels properly and fire with significantly less FPS than normal. Stiffer foam darts perform much more consistently and often shoot more accurately. Also keep note of the heads of the darts you're using. I'd avoid hard tip darts or wide-headed darts as the wheels are medium to high crush with high concavity. These heads can get stuck in the wheels and burn out your motors if you're not careful. Like many other performance flywheelers, you'll probably be able to get 2 to 3 good shots out of a fresh dart before it starts to get too worn to use. Check where the heads join to the foam while loading and avoid darts where this section is loose or starting to rip. The second tip is to check your Diana's pusher. There were a couple of reports with the first few batches of Dianas where the head of the pusher would work its way off the solenoid through use and the blaster cannot feed without it. This issue should have been solved by the more recent batches and likely won't be an issue for the 2025 version, but it doesn't hurt to check yours. Just remove the top slide and give it a bit of a wiggle, twist and/or tug to make sure it's not loose. If you're still paranoid it'll come off, a bit of Loctite should do the trick. My third piece of advice is to avoid the official holster. While I did say the magnetic holster switch is super handy to keep your blaster in standby mode without draining the battery for a whole game, the official holster is terrible when it comes to actually retaining the blaster. You do get a quick and easy draw with it, but any sort of bump or sideways movement on the blaster will cause it to slip out, making it fail at the one thing it's supposed to do. The included magnet in the holster can also fall out on its own, so if you do own this holster, it's a good idea to see if you can gently remove the magnet and then re-glue it yourself. I've been using a level 2 Kydex holster made by some of the guys from Nerf Singapore. This holster is a massive upgrade and it actually retains the blaster well, requiring you to hit the retention lever to draw the blaster. You can also adjust the retention of the holster by tightening or loosening the screws, letting you tune for security or for a faster draw. I have one attached to a QLS fork, letting me quickly take it off my belt and swap it to another holster also on a QLS fork if I had one. At the time of recording, Ideal Foam Blaster has them on back order with a direct to Molly version also available. They are considerably more expensive than the official holster, but worth it if you actually want to keep the blaster on you and are worried about the durability of printed holster options. The fourth thing I've learned about this blaster is to beware of the trigger delay. Even with standby mode activated, there is still a slight delay from pulling the trigger to the solenoid extending. This can make spamming the trigger on semi-auto feel unresponsive and sloppy. The 2025 edition says it has a more responsive feeling trigger, but since I haven't used one, I can't confirm those claims. If the delay bothers you, I found the blaster feels a bit more responsive in burst or full auto mode. The rate of fire is low enough for you to be able to pull off single shots easily, but burst mode can take the guesswork out of the timing if you find yourself needing to double tap players. On the topic of rate of fire, the Diana will have a rate of fire of 15 to 16 darts per second on full auto depending on which edition it is. While this gives you an authentic King Von experience, it's a good idea to mind the exposed heat sinks. These can get hot during use, and from my testing on a cold day, start to warm up after full autoing through 5 mags back to back. The heat sinks didn't get hot enough to instantly burn me on contact, but they can get hotter under constant use. Keep this in mind when using the Diana, as you could end up scaring yourself by touching something hot all of a sudden, or if you plan to 3D print a holster, make sure you use a material with a higher melting point to be safe. The battery space in the Diana is pretty small, so you're limited on lipos that you can use. The recommended batteries are usually around 550 or 650 mAh, which can be low capacity if you intend on using the Diana often or as a primary during games. If you are planning on using the Diana a lot, consider bringing a spare lipo or two so you don't end up draining your battery too much. You'll know when it's running low as the front side LED will flash, but ideally you should also have a lipo alarm connected. It's also a good idea to get an extended battery door of some kind. Those recommended lipos are small enough to fit behind the stock door, but they basically max out the space available, with very little breathing room for the wires. An extended battery door will make it easier to install the lipo and allow for room for a small lipo alarm which normally wouldn't fit. For my 7th and final tip, play to the Diana's strengths. It's a compact flywheeler that has full auto, so it's best to use it with that in mind. A lot of people in this hobby favor springers or AEBs, which are more suited for longer range engagements compared to flywheelers. You won't really be able to get long range tags with the Diana aside from maybe some heavily arced and lucky shots, but it will excel in CQB engagements. Its small size suits aggressive playstyles as it lets you move easily around cover and fire multiple shots in quick succession without needing to prime. Using it alongside a shield if your group allows it can help you pull off risky pushes or have more cover holding angles. Of course, there's nothing wrong with its main use case for being a secondary, especially when paired with the magnetic reed switch. The Diana is pretty much designed for emergency quick draw situations, and at the time of recording, it is probably the best blaster in this niche as it not only can get its first shot off extremely quickly, but it can fire follow-up shots without delay. Well, that's it for this video. I hope I've been able to provide some useful tips for the Diana that'll help you get more out of this blaster. Thanks for watching, press YouTube buttons, and I'll see you next time.